Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Localization Fireside Chat podcast and YouTube channel. I am Robin Ayub, the founder of this platform. And those who aren't familiar with me, it's a pleasure to meet you. And you can find out a little bit more about me on LinkedIn. If you want to look me up, check out my profile. And also today, I am very excited, and we have a very exciting discussion waiting for you. And I'm honored to be joined by a special guest today, Susan Amarino, the current president of ALC. That's the Association of Language Companies. Welcome to the show, Susan. Glad to have you with us. And I can't wait to dive into our conversation. I have a coffee with me ready, and welcome to the show. The microphone is yours if you don't mind introducing yourself.
Good morning, Robin. Thank you so much for having me this morning. I am excited to share this time with you and also all the people that follow you. This is a wonderful opportunity. And don't worry, I have my cup of coffee too. We're ready to go.
Excellent. I am so psyched about this one. I have been waiting to speak to you for a while, and we have a lot of ground to cover. And at the same time, I hope everybody finds this this episode exciting as the indication have been. And I'm glad to report that our viewership is going through the roof for a brand new channel that only started in February. We're averaging close to, right now, we're about 20,000 views on YouTube. And for a localization topic, that is really unreal because we're not that exciting of a topic, let's put it this way, for the rest of the world, but for us it is. And it is an exciting time for the localization industry. But when you throw a YouTube channel out there or a podcast, you're in with, the rest of the internet weed that you're trying to find your way through this. But happy to report we're fast growing on LinkedIn. I think we're the fourth fastest growing page on LinkedIn right now. And we're making it on YouTube, which is great. And we're also available on all your favorite podcast channels that you like to listen. If somebody wants to listen to audio, we're on all of them. So, and now we just added our TikTok channel, just came out this week as well. So
wow. Big congratulations to you. This is fabulous. And I do think we're exciting. I think we're really exciting to the rest of the world as well. I just think they're starting to get just tip of the iceberg learning about us, and boy, are they having fun with us.
Absolutely. And
have fun with culture.
Educate and make this a fun topic. It doesn't need
absolutely.
So before we started, I was telling you how I started in the industry, and I keep telling everybody who comes on this channel, everybody's got a story in this industry. That's what I noticed.
Yeah, so
true. Tell me your story. How did you get into the industry? Well,
I know I'm a unique person in this regard, no doubt. So back in the day, it's been a long time. I don't want to say my age. So, I'll say the years roughly. Some 30 years ago, I was traveling with a group called Up With People. And we would travel around the world and put on a 2-hour musical show. For every hour of show, we would do 2 hours of community service in each community that we visited. We had 5 international casts, each consisting of 24, 25 different countries and 150 different cast members. So we were guaranteed when we would travel 2 different continents. And I ended up doing this for 5 years. So the first 2.5 years, I would go out ahead of the cast and set up the town, if you will, meet with Rotary, meet with the press, make sure we had enough room for our 22 tons of staging equipment, make sure the sound is working, all these different kinds of things, and training people who may or may not speak English on how to present about Up With People to the community to find, well, in Canada, it'd be known as a billet, but in the US, it was known as a host family. And so we had to find our meals, everything for the cast when they would come and sell out the shows. So the second 2.5 years, I was with the cast. So we were in a different town every 3 to 5 days. And yes, I lived out of a suitcase for 5 years. So when I left the road, I said, my gosh, I have to have language and culture around me. This is crazy. I don't know what I'm going to do. I was working as a loan processor, and I was like, this isn't cutting it. I need my language and culture. Where am I going to find it? I brought out the phone book, started thumbing through the phone book and found a language company. Back in the day, it was called Sykes. They no longer exist. They were bought out by STL. But Sykes is where I had my first introduction to project management. And that's the way that I came into the industry.
Wow, exciting. You know, you go from doing something that you, at the time, you had a lot of passion to and you've been involved in it like so 100%, and you put your heart and soul into it. And then you discover something else that you spend a lot of years, a lot of time developing. And I understand you own your own language company now, Liaison Multilingual Services as well. You know, what I noticed about our industry, most people have like 2-3 jobs. You know, I'm just at awe how much passion there is for the industry. Like somebody was asking me one time, or I hear these guys talking about, you know, the best job you can have is a job that you would do for free. So if somebody was to, you know, want to be a photographer or want to be a whatever they want to be in life, you know, would ask yourself a question: could you do this job for free if nobody paid you for it? That's how much passion you want to measure. And
absolutely,
everybody I met is the same thing in our localization.
Yeah. Absolutely. There are so many of us that are like this, right? I mean, you're putting that right on me because I have several different jobs too. I'm involved with a lot of different things. Yes, I have my company, but also with my company, I'm busy with ALC and I'm also busy with ASTM. So I've got a lot going on too, and a lot more going on, you know, also. So yeah, it's great. I mean, who doesn't enjoy culture?
So you know what, and it's such a fascinating subject. I mean, when we talk about languages, and it keeps grabbing people's attention. Like everywhere you go, you come across another language, and you know the fascination us as a human is A, we want to understand, and B, you know, after you understand, you say, wow, that sounds lovely, I want to learn it. Italian, Spanish, whatever it is. And so the ability to learn and that opportunity to learn, not just the ability, the opportunity to learn, because today it's a lot more available than it was 20 years ago with the, you know, the proliferation of the communication channels, internet, etc., made it a lot more available to us. So yeah, I have three things I want you to explain to me and our audience. ALC, if you don't mind describing ALC, and then we'll dive into your own company and the standard committee that you're on. I'd love to understand a little bit more about that one too.
Oh, this sounds wonderful. I look forward to it. Yes, the Association of Language Companies. Again, passionate about the association. This association started in 2001. 9 people came together. We were at an event and we met together and said, boy, we would like to be able to talk with each other openly so that we can help to strengthen our businesses. We've got different focuses than maybe a translator or an interpreter or somebody else, a captioner, whoever it may be in the industry, because we're running companies. We're having human resources situations. We need to figure out marketing. We need to figure out sales. We need to make sure we're having KPIs and, you know, how are we making sure that we're able to measure, and what are we measuring and what are we using to measure them? And so there were several issues that were coming up that we were wanting to learn from each other. And we found out that we all had that same hunger. And so that's when we decided to sprawl out on our own and create the Association of Language Companies. And we've been going on. This is going to be, well, it's actually technically our 21st anniversary. We're having our event in Portland, Oregon, representing our 20-year, because that's where we were born, was in Portland. Bill Graper was very kind to host us, and unfortunately, we no longer have him. We lost him to, he died several years ago, which is unfortunate for us, but still he left his footprint on the entire association and on the industry. So we're saying it's our 20th because of COVID. We couldn't have our anniversary, but we're going to have it this year. So I hope everybody will come out and join us.
So how big is ALC in terms of numbers of members? For instance, how many members you would have member company in the US?
It's kind of a funny question, because it's not necessarily representative of the number of people that we have, because some companies may have more people that are represented.
We have the same issue in the Canadian industry.
Oh, so there you go. Yeah, we're right around a couple hundred company members, and then you've got the people on top of that. So we are all over the world. We're representing everywhere, from Europe to Asia to Australia, UAE. I mean, we're everywhere. So we've got.
I like the fact that you mentioned that you help companies figure out how to run their business, and and the various categories of running a business, like financials, IT, metrics, etc. And people. So tell me, how did you cross, or how did you were able to convince your members to cross that chasm? Looking at their colleagues in the association, start looking at them as a competitor, and start looking at them as a somebody that they need to cooperate with, or they need to collaborate with, in order for us to figure out collectively how to solve business issues. How did you, did you come across that? And if that was a problem, how did you solve it?
It hasn't been. It's been actually very refreshing. And I think this is what also is making the association so unique. Because, like I said, that small group of founders, we wanted to share. We wanted to learn. We wanted to help each other, because when we help each other, we help the industry. And when you help the industry, it helps everybody. So the end result, maybe it's a certain type of a person. Maybe the ALC isn't for everybody. But that is not what I've experienced. My experience has been that company members are absolutely hungry to have these kinds of conversations. And it's so refreshing that when I can reach out to somebody in Canada and say, oh my gosh, Robin, we've got XYZ happening. Like, we have worker classification that becomes an issue in the United States. Is that something you're experiencing too? Tell me a little bit about how you handle it and what you're seeing in your government. And then I can maybe see if that's something that I'm doing here. And maybe we help each other, even across borders. So there's so much that's going on in those conversations. We have an internal communication channel that we have with ALC. That thing goes bonkers every day, because so many times we're relying on each other.
I'm hearing you say this. I just identified an opportunity for more collaboration together. I feel like you should be attending our meetings at least one meeting at our Canadian Language Industry Association, because I love to give your view to our board of directors in terms of, stop looking at each other as competitors. I've been saying this for 3 years as a president, and start looking at each other as, partners.
Right.
Because we need to figure out, there's many challenges in front of us as an industry. And everybody goes along and do what they think is right, but collaboratively, collectively together, try to solve issues are a lot more powerful and we can solve them quicker than, taking our good old time as a company, as a singular company, and trying to figure things out. There's a lot of learning. I feel like they're hidden in a certain corners of our industry that you bring them out to the light and people can take advantage of. Like everybody else, you member many associations. So one of the associations I was a member of, they pride themselves on doing something creative. They solve the big problem for a customer or technology, whatever it is. And they write a white paper about it and they share it with everybody. I find like, a lot of our industry, and that's self-criticism, I guess, a lot of companies in our industry that want to keep that a secret because it may give them a bit of an advantage over somebody else on some deal that they're cooking. And I'm thinking like, there's a lot of business out there to go around. You should not be worried about this one. You should be aware of how to become more efficient, how to collectively advance the industry, push it to the next level.
Like, I don't want to say we're not competitors, because we are. We are absolutely competitors.
Oh, where it matters, though.
But the thing is that we also are colleagues and friends. And we really, look, if I'm going to lose a bid to somebody, I want it to be one of these people, because I know they're going to give quality results, whether it's translation, interpreting, training, schools, whatever it is. They're going to get quality. And that matters to me, because at the end of the day, we want people to have a good experience with the language industry. Because if they have a bad experience, it hurts everybody. Exactly. Yeah. So this is where I believe that people, when they come to the association or where they've had some sort of an interaction with one of our members, they see that they're getting that kind of a help, and that there's a whole wide world of people that are other minds, other ideas, creative ideas. I can say, Robin, I've got XYZ problem in HR. And you're like, oh, Susan, I had that problem, and don't do XYZ because it's a waste of time, but do ABC. This will really take you to other, and time is money for us, right? As company owners, it's so important. And now I've learned from you, you've given me some resources, and now I can go learn for myself. So excellent. I think that's why you're seeing so many people come to the ALC, is because they've experienced it and they're like, wow, I want to pay that back. Yeah, no, absolutely. You have a very good point, is that you're right. We are going to be competing for business, and otherwise it will not be a free market. At the same time, when you build the confidence in the people that you're working with, your colleagues, your friends, even if you lose to them, that's good news. That's not bad news anymore, because and I agree 100% with you, that if you are confident that this individual or this company is going to deliver good results for this customer, then you feel better about it. You feel positive about it. That's right. So taking me, for us, for our audience who are global, obviously, and they're not necessarily all from the United States, for Canadian and the global audience, tell us a little bit about the U.S. market now. What's your view on the market in the U.S.? Obviously, you work in the U.S. You represent a U.S. association. What is the status? How do you see the economy? How do you see the localization industry faring out so far in 2023 in the U.S.? The language industry is doing well. The language industry is going to continue to do well. People are really seeing language access as something they need to think of first. And it used to be we were that afterthought. So I'm really seeing the trend of we're being incorporated much earlier, and we are much more front of mind. We are in the U.S. specifically, we do have immigrants, as do a lot of other countries. And that is also impacting the language access, making sure that language access, we are working very, very hard with our advocacy. This is also something we do and are very passionate. In fact, this is one of my big passions, is advocacy with ALC. And this is something that's been really important. Having language access for medical necessity, having it in education, having it in our courts. It's everywhere. And now the government is really seeing this more and more and more. We're even seeing some things now coming in about telehealth. So it's great to see. The optimism is absolutely here. You don't want to miss out on this because it's soaring and we're going to continue to go up. So language access is here and it's front of mind. So I'm glad to hear language access, because I think sometimes in our, for those countries, including Canada, Switzerland, et cetera, where you have policies, government policies dictating some, not all, some of the language translation, if you will, or localization. In the US, it is, it's a little bit more, I want to say it is, it's a little less legislated and it's more economically driven. Am I correct by characterizing it this way? Yes, I would say that's true. We're working on it, though. We are working on having more standards and consistency for our own industry. So that is happening, but the government being more aware of us. I mean, during COVID, it was not unusual that you would see an ASL or an American Sign Language interpreter standing beside a governor or a mayor. And that also, they are in our language industry, right? We are front of mind. People are seeing us on every level, on every component, and it matters. So how does, in the US, like from a legislative perspective, how does federal government and state government and local government work all together to enable this? And is it what is your focus would be? Is it on a state level or federal level, or in order for you to impact
the way
Yes.
advocacy is going right now. So
Yes, 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 yes. That is not a crazy answer. Just yes. Absolutely. It is all three because they're all very different. You may have some aspects that affect us federally. And we are very, very fortunate. We've worked hard and we have a wonderful relationship with Dr. Bill Rivers, who is our advocate and our lobbyist. And he does a lot of work for us on behalf of the language service companies on ALC. I work very closely with this man pretty much every day because there's always something going on. But what does that mean, Susan? It means, yes, he's got a big focus of our federal, but guess what? We have other things that are happening at the state and city level too. We have things happening in Portland and Michigan and New York and everywhere. And then now you got to break it down to the city levels so that you're also able to work at the state level. So you're also able to represent the federal level. So what happens at your city level impacts the whole thing. I say get involved, be involved with your city, state, and federal, and the Senate, the House of Representatives. I'm in contact with my representatives all the time, Senate and House, no matter what policy, no matter if they're Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, I don't care. All that matters to me is that we're educating them about the language industry because chances are they are impacted at some extent as well. What if they had a trip to Canada and they weren't equipped for what to maybe know about in Canada with healthcare? Maybe they broke their ankle or something. Same thing if people are coming to the US. And that's where they need to really hear how much language impacts, because if they've got somebody coming in from a country where they don't speak English, they need to be able to take care of their broken ankle.
Yeah, and that's right. I mean, there's a lot of economic transaction that goes on where language is not the primary, English is not the primary language, right? So, and it doesn't matter what level it is, federal or local or state governments, somebody needs to mitigate that barrier of communication to build some bridges there.
Absolutely right. That's why having those constant, consistent conversations is so important.
Absolutely. Now, just give you the opportunity here to tell us a little bit more about Liaison Multilingual Services. Like, tell us a little bit about your company. Like, where is it located? What do you offer in terms of services? And if somebody needs to find out a bit more about you, how do they find you?
Awesome. Oh, thank you. That's a wonderful opportunity. Yes, Liaison Multilingual, we've been in existence for 25 years. And we are based in Denver, Colorado, also in Vail, Colorado. And I am a native Coloradoan. So I'm very much into the sports industry with our ski slopes and, other activities. We're big outdoorsy type people. I am no different. So we do a lot of work with our sports. We also do a lot of work with legal and education, medical. We pride ourselves on providing and listening to what our clients want to have. And then we want to work with them individually. Every client, we want them to feel as though they are our one and only. We do utilize a lot of software and different technologies because you have to. This day and age, we've got a lot going on, right? We've got CAT tools, we've got machine translation, and now we have AI. And you want to make sure that you're incorporating them to some extent. But at the end of the day, not every project gets that kind of treatment because it matters what the client needs. And we have to learn more about what their needs are. We cover everything from American Sign Language to Albanian or Zulu and everything in between. And we just really provide have you heard of HLA? Have you ever heard of that? It's called Health Literacy Advisory. And this is something where we need to make our content read at a 6th grade level. And we provide that type of a service. We also, so you can see, making something readability or making something.
Readability, but you mentioned.
Right. And 508 compliance, that's something that we also do, which means that the government has a certain requirement where we need to be able to provide documents for somebody who may be visually impaired. And so we provide that service. We also include Braille. So we've got a lot of services that we provide. And we like to have a personal relationship with each one of our clients. They mean so much to us, and we don't just have it as a transactional. We're partners with our clients.
I'm in the process of writing a book, and one of the things I keep talking about is, and I've been thinking about since early days in my career, is that transactional, adding to my jobs, right? So that's number 4 now.
Yeah.
And so
another hat.
adding the layer of that, building the trust between, the service provider, in this case, your company, and your customer. Yes. And, eliminating that idea that it is a transactional relationship. It is not, because I haven't seen in our industry a customer that is in love with try to find a supplier every day. Not really. They would like eventually to find a supplier that they understand them and they can stay with them and they can adapt to their needs on a day-to-day basis. Well, right. They're not static needs. They're always changing. So adapt to that. Right. How do you manage that? Do you have like a customer service team, and is it trained? How do you manage all this?
Yes, I mean, we definitely do. But also one thing I'd like to highlight is that much of our work and most of the ways that we have been able to get our clients over the years, and it's the most empathetic, I think, of everything, is our clients recommend us to other people. And that means the world. When they're giving you a referral or a recommendation, there's nothing that's any better than that. But the only way that you're going to get there is to make sure that you're building those partnerships, those relationships. If we don't have relationships, we have nothing. And that matters to us. So I want to make sure that I personally, myself, that I know my clients, not just my team. Because if I don't know them, then it does to have a different type of a relationship. And I don't want that. No. So yeah, it keeps me pretty busy, but I also like to make sure that they know that they matter to us. And it goes a long way, I think.
Absolutely. Kudos to you and to your team on, realizing the fact that customers are important, customers are valued. And, like the business rules 101 is, if you keep a customer, it's much cheaper for a business than acquiring a new customer. New customers generally cost you more to onboard, to train, to get your team set up for that. If you have an existing customer, building on that relationship and expanding it from a business perspective is more profitable.
Right.
Switching
That's right. Yeah.
Here's a little bit, if you don't mind, Susan. Let's talk a little bit about diversity and inclusion. And I interviewed on this channel Carrie Fisher from Women in Localization, and she's passionate about the topic. I am passionate about the topic, and I also, think about this from 2 angles. I think about it from diversity and inclusion as a standalone topic, and I also think about it from an industry that is facilitating, that's enabling diversity and inclusion on a global scale. Like the impact this industry have is immense on every angle when it comes to diversity inclusion globally, in our local markets and globally.
Mm-hmm. It's somewhat ironic that we now have to have something called diversity and inclusion. Isn't it kind of ironic? Because we as an industry don't even think about this because it's in our everyday lives. Mm-hmm. We are inclusive. We are welcoming. We do want the diversity. We want to meet people that are speaking languages of lesser diffusion. Everybody is welcome. We don't care what your background or anything. We just want to meet you, and every life matters. And that is what is so big for us, not only as an association, me as a company, but also us as an industry. Mm-hmm. It just seems kind of I guess it makes us more front of mind again, right? With the language access, same thing, because that diversity and inclusion, that's exactly who we are as an industry. And so that's just another tick to make us that front of mind.
Absolutely. So how do you promote this in ALC and even in your own business? Is there like you have specific programs for this, or discussions, committees? How do you do that?
The biggest thing with ALC is that we are very blessed that we are all over the world. And A lot of people are hearing from us because of the way that we've been so accepting and so welcoming and wanting to learn from each other. And I think that the learning from each other, you learn by listening, you learn by sharing, you learn by, having these types of dialogues, and people are drawn to that. And then you start meeting other cultures and other languages, and everybody's coming in. We welcome everybody.
You don't need to be an American company to become a member, right? You can be a member, it doesn't matter, or is that what I'm hearing? Or
I'm sorry, could you
I was just wondering, do you need to be based in the US to become a member of ALC, or you can be a member, it doesn't matter which country you're from? Because my follow-up question, because there's a lot of our audience are not from this continent, and they probably would like to come and do business in this continent by, becoming a member of ALC. Is that a possibility?
Sure. Absolutely, it's a possibility. In fact, it's already happening. We have people from the UAE that are members, Canada, Lithuania, Mexico, Argentina, China, Japan, name a country. We have got it represented. So we are very, very diverse. Welcome. Everybody's welcome. Please, if you are a language service company, and we do use that as a term because the term LSP does get a little bit confusing, because an LSP can be anybody. It can be a translator, an interpreter, or a company. But an LSC is a language service company. And that's who we are. We are the Association of Language Service Companies. So please come and join us. Yes, all you need to do is go to info@alcus.org, and Allison or Mariana would be happy to get you some information, help you become a member. But our website is www.alcus.org. And we would love to meet you and love to have you. And yes, everybody is welcome, no matter where you are on the great planet.
I encourage our audience to listen to Susan's advice, go onto their website and become a member. It's truly an encouraging and empowering conversation that we're having this morning, Susan, in terms of the openness, the open arms that you're expressing here for everybody is welcome. Everybody can be a member, can be a partner in your cause, and help drive this industry forward. It doesn't matter their location. That's very admirable. Thank you for putting that out there.
Yes. And to your point, Robin, we aren't just translators and translating and interpreting companies. We're language schools. We're training. We've got a diverse group of us. And all the time, new technologies, new services become available. They are also joining the association. So, don't just think if you're not a translator and interpreter, you're not welcome. You are. Come on and join us.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Now, let's, you mentioned earlier in the conversation about some of the tools that your company is using. And these tools are software or AI or ChatGPT, et cetera, large language models. So in terms of take that, if you don't mind, extrapolate it on an industry level, what's your opinion on all the new tools, and everybody now with the new tools, like a kid with a new toy, I guess, everybody gets excited about it, but we have to decipher, in my opinion, and I've had Jay Marciano on my podcast here, who don't know, Jay is the president of the Machine Translation Association for the Americas. And we had a chat about this one, and there are a lot of ideas around the technology itself, where it started and how the evolution is taking place. And we still think, him and I and a few others, we still think a human will be in the middle for many years to come, because for various reasons, the industry, the market may shift, but for many reasons, we still need people to either program, drive, quality check, whatever the function may be down the road, but we still need a human in the middle. This will not be an app you would download and then poof, everything is done. I don't think, at least from my perspective. How about your views? Where do you see this going?
Well, I'm embracing the technology. We've been through this song and dance before. So AI is just another partner that we're going to be dancing with. So I remember when Trados first came out, and yes, that was the name, Trados, in the very, very beginning. Oh my gosh, the whole world's coming to an end. This is replacing us. And then it didn't. And then we were able to utilize it and enhance our efficiency. And then machine translation came out, and that same type thing. Now we have AI. Yes, it's something we want to embrace. It's something we want to welcome, and we want to utilize it smart.
That's right.
We've got to use it in a smart fashion. It doesn't mean that we give it to AI and now our projects are just finished for us. No. We want to make sure that we can utilize the tools where we can. You have to have the human element, no matter what. Albert Einstein once said that technology one day would surpass human interaction and create a generation of idiots. We do not want to be idiots. So we want to utilize our software and our technology and not become idiots. So I think by utilizing it and letting it have its place and letting it utilize it where it's needed is fine. We always have to have the human element. We are people that are it's in our DNA as humans that we need to interact. You don't want to lose that. And so we will continue to use that. Think about culture changes all the time. Our diversity, yes, it's changing. Language changes. We want to welcome those in and utilize them as we can. So again, we're not going anywhere. We humans are going to be in every component of this, but we just want to utilize it in the way that makes the most sense for whatever situation we're in.
I think, this is just my personal opinion, and I think I've expressed this before. I think there's two reasons or two causes for the excitement around technology. One is there are so much content now being created, and we don't have enough translators to do the work. So, if you take a look at academia, universities, et cetera, and you take a look at how many people are graduating in the linguistic degrees, and you say, okay, well, I need, X. X becomes the population of the world probably to translate the amount of content we're creating, because facilitating content generation and with the tools. I'm not talking about AI generated content at this point. No, I'm just talking about the ability to generate content in this day and age, just using the regular method. You're able to type, you're able to create small posts on social media, et cetera. Translating that immense amount of content requires a lot more hands than we currently have, a lot more individuals that we currently have in the traditional way of doing it. So the delta, in my opinion, needs to be filled, that gap, that capacity that we currently have and the capacity that we need in the future. That delta needs to be filled with something. And this is where technology is coming to play a role. And it's helping. It's helping the service providers, us, and it's also helping the customer who has the insatiable ability to find ways to save dollars or save money in trying to grab on to any new technology that can, do it cheaper, faster, and then I'm not going to talk about quality because it's very hard for customers who don't speak the language to judge quality. If they can speak the language or can read the language, comprehend it, fine. But in a lot of cases, people are translating for one reason, because they don't understand the language. If you understand it, that you don't need to translate. So in my opinion, there are several examples. One of the example that was published on Slater, I guess not too long ago, the YouTube personality, Mr. Beast, who got tired of having translation companies dictate to him how much it's going to cost him to do a YouTube video translation. So he went and opened his own company, AI-based, to do the work. Again, that's an indication of capacity, right? Capacity issues. So that's my personal opinion on the matter. And and our idea of, I feel like our industry should not be the one receiving the technology and saying, okay, how do I deal with this? I think our industry should be innovative enough to come up with those solutions, and don't let somebody from outside the industry come in and tell them, okay, well, here's your new AI now, you got to use it.
Right.
And this is where our industry could use a little bit of a prodding, if you will, to create some innovation. I don't know, my personal opinion.
No, I think it's really important for us as an industry it's up to us to educate. We need to educate our clients. We need to educate each other. We need, there's a big part of this, and we're learning too. I've got a couple of things, if you don't mind, a couple of ideas of things that are happening with ALC, for example. We have ALC Bridge, which is an an area where we provide the gap or the bridge, if you will, from people that are in school wanting to have a career in the language industry. Does it mean that they have to know a language? Doesn't. It means could be doing IT. They could be doing marketing, but it would be for the for the language industry. And so this is where we're working very closely with universities and students who want to know more about our industry. And so that they're seeing now that they have an opportunity to do an internship or even find job postings for the industry. So ALC Bridges definitely has that going on. But also with ALC, we've got webinars, roundtables. One of my favorite events that we have is our unconference. That's where we would sit and have conversations just like this, Robin, where we are talking about AI. We're talking about how are you incorporating this into your business? But this is where we're having a roundtable discussion and we're speaking very candidly, very openly about ideas and ways that we might be able to incorporate this into our workflow. But even more importantly, how we're educating our public. Because as we're learning, we need to make sure that everybody understands that message as well. It has its place. And we're going to take the dance. What we want to make sure that we're doing is that we're including our customers and the rest of the population in those dialogues. So these conversations need to happen. We have to continue having them. They're important. And we are the ones that know how this impacts our industry. So we need to be the ones to express that. Not the other way around.
For the audience, I had the pleasure of playing around with ALC Bridge a little bit. I was given a demo on this, and to be honest with you, it's fascinating and it's a great job. You guys are a great initiative there to connect between resources. They're looking to get into the industry and the people in the industry that they're maybe looking for talents. We all scream about human resources lack and talents in the industry and trying to attract them to the industry. This is a great initiative. For those of you who do not know ALC Bridge, just Google the ALC Bridge and you'll find out the link. Go check it out. It's pretty fascinating.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we've got quite a committee. Kathleen Diamond has been leading that charge and has been doing a great job with it. So thank you. Yeah. If you've got a university, if you've been to school and you want to represent your alma mater, I know my alma mater, University of New Mexico in Albuquerque, we're represented very well. And we want to make sure that we're grabbing as many universities and partnering with you as we possibly can. So please, join us because we want to make sure that we are creating that pipeline for the future of the industry.
Absolutely. And it's an industry, again, as we mentioned earlier, sustainable industry. It's been around for 10,000 years since the beginning of time, and it will continue on for as many years as well. So, going back to, the support that ALC gives or try to give to or educate their members, let's talk a little bit about, the business aspect of running a language service company. And so one of the main thing, I guess, every business, this is pretty basic, is data, KPIs, market data, evolution of the market associated to the data so we can develop services, those types of things. How do you handle that to give your members a bit of a radar screen, if you will, on how A, they need to manage their business, and B, the evolution? And I have a subsequent question for this, but I'll let you answer this one first.
Okay. We don't tell them how to do their businesses. That's up to them how they want to handle their businesses. But we are resources for each other. So when somebody posts something about, or in our communication channel about what KPIs do you track? What tool do you use to track? You're going to get a lot of other company members that are chiming in, and it creates this discussion around what that looks like. And then if, let's say you, Robin, because you're the person with whom I'm having a conversation today, let's say you were one of the people that were wondering about this very topic, maybe you would want to talk a little bit more than what's happening in the communication channel. And maybe I've said something that kind of spurred something or an idea or something in your mind. You could just reach out to me and then we can take it offline and we can have those types of conversations. So because then maybe I'm able to mentor you a little bit or help you a little bit about some ideas of what you might want to try. So what happens is a lot of times we're seeing these kinds of discussions taking place, or we're having these different discussions. And that's what's making the conversation go to the next level then, because people want to take that to another level and incorporate in their businesses. One of our things at ALC, we want to help you grow. We want to help our businesses grow to the next levels. If you wanting to take on a new service or go to a new country, we are a wealth of information. We'd love to help you get there.
Mm-hmm. Now, my sub question is around developing services. And have you seen a trend, or if there is one, I don't know, have you seen a trend in your market of language service companies offering services that perhaps not directly related to languages? For instance, I call it the content life cycle, if you will. When content is created, take an example, whatever you like in that word, website, book, whatever. And then people spend a lot of time and money creating that content. And just before they go to publishing, or somebody needs to consume that content, they realize, that we need to put it in another language. So we send it to the language service companies to translate it. So $1 million spent on creating the content, language company gets $5,000 to translate it, and the publishing companies takes the rest of the money. So the piece of the pie from a language perspective has been either shrinking or small to begin with. Now, in terms of how much it costs to create a content. Now, a lot of companies, and I'm hoping and I'm assuming some of your members are creating other services, go up the food chain and start offering the content, which brings me to the question, A, are they doing it? And how many of them are they offering services related to content? And B, the second part of my question, are we moving toward, and that's a 100,000 foot level question, are we moving toward a knowledge based industry, which we are part of, versus being a localization industry by offering other services that relates to knowledge?
I think we already are the knowledge-based industry. We represent that all the time when we are working on our advocacy, that we are in the knowledge-based industry. We're not gig, we are knowledge-based. We have to have the expertise of doctors and lawyers. Yes, that's where I see us going, to more of that type of a service offering, that we will be pricing our jobs very similar to how doctors and lawyers are doing theirs, because we are providing much more than just language. And being just by the word isn't going to, I think it's on a short term. I think we're going there pretty quickly. And I see us being more of that service type of a contract, as opposed to just something where we're doing just by the word, or even interpreting is also changing and drastically. I mean, before COVID, people, what's this remote thing, and now look at, it's like a big part of what we're doing. And we pivoted very well, but I do, because we're becoming much more in front of mind for different people that are creating content or having opportunities for language access. Yes, we're becoming very different and much more of a service that we're offering. And then it covers a lot of different capabilities in that service that we're offering, not just translation or interpreting, much more.
Absolutely. Well, look, I mean, we're coming up on the hour. First, I want to ask you, how did you find the conversation?
Oh, this was fun. I had a great time. Thank you so much. No, this is something we're passionate about, or at least I am. And I know you are too. So, not letting you off the hook. No, I've had a fabulous time. I recommend this for everybody. Thank you so much for such a wonderful opportunity. It has just been a great way to kick off the day. Nothing like a little coffee talk with
That's right.
to kick off the day.
Thank you, Susan. I want to thank our guest, Susan Amarino, for being with me today. I really enjoyed the conversation. Susan, welcome back to the channel anytime. You have something to share, or you just want to drop by and say hello, you're always welcome. Please consider it your channel as much as it's ours collectively. And I can't wait to perhaps see you in September
I
And
look forward to seeing you in September. No matter what, I'll see you in September. No matter what.
just thank you so much again, and look forward to continue our conversation in the future. Thank you, Susan.
A lot more to talk about. Thank you so much for having me again, Robin. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks. You too.
Thank you.